I want to talk about the left strategy of lawfare. Now, that's a term you may or may not be familiar with, but it's using the law as a political or ideological weapon, using the law as almost a form of terrorism against people to destroy them, to impose exorbitant costs on them, to get them fired from their jobs or torpedoed in their career, in some cases even to get them locked up. Now, it's been known for a long time that the law can be used or abused in this way. I mean, think, for example, if you have a guy who has a lot of money and he decides to sue you over some petty infraction. The infraction itself is not important, but by suing you, he's able to deploy tremendous resources, which you don't have, and yet you can't go show up and just represent yourself in court. So now it's a financial burden on you, and people are like, well, listen, I'm going to have to put a mortgage on my house. So suddenly the resources that you've accumulated over a lifetime become jeopardized because you're involved in this kind of catastrophic litigation. Many people in divorce cases find them to be financially crippling in this way. But here I'm talking about the deployment of lawfare in politics. Now, it's being used against Trump. And leaving aside the idea that they don't want Trump to run again, think of the exorbitant costs that are being imposed on Trump, having to defend not one, not two, but four highly targeted indictments. There are indictments in which the other side has near infinite resources. Think of all the lawyers, for example, in New York, plus the lawyers in Georgia, plus the whole Jack Smith team, plus the resources available to him from the Biden DOJ, all going after one man who has to then defend himself. He requires almost an army of lawyers just to be able to stay on top of all the different filing requirements and so on. And then I'm thinking also about the other people in the Georgia case who have been indicted. I believe some 18 of them. I've had Jenna Ellis on the podcast. I've also been in communication with David Schaefer, who's the former GOP chair in Georgia. Yesterday, I shared ways in which, on my social media, ways to contribute to David Schaefer's legal defense. And I feel the same about all these defendants, that they need good representation. They need to be able to strike back. And Republicans in general need to be striking back against this lawfare. Because think about it, they're going after attorneys for providing advice to their client, in this case Trump or the Trump campaign. And these attorneys themselves are having difficulty finding lawyers to represent them. Now, Jenna, I'm happy to say, has a good lawyer. I think some of the others do also. But Rudy Giuliani, for example, has had difficulty finding lawyers to represent him in efforts to get him disbarred, in efforts to go after him. And he's facing multiple lawsuits quite apart from the Georgia indictment. Now, this is a little unprecedented because historically in America, it's been widely understood that defendants in criminal cases need good counsel. And many times we've had very prominent lawyers, F. Lee Bailey and many others, representing clients who are reprehensible, clients who are serial killers, clients who are accused of doing horrific things. But the idea is, guess what? It doesn't matter if you're Charles Manson, you deserve a defense. So think, for example, about the lawyers who went south to take on the Jim Crow laws. Think about the lawyers who supported, this is the ACLU, supporting the rights of the Nazis to march in Skokie. The ACLU's position was, listen, we're not Nazis. In fact, we couldn't be more opposed to who these Nazis are, but Nazis too have First Amendment rights. And so we will defend them on that principle, and the ACLU was successful in doing that. Think about the lawyers who represented communists in the 1950s and 40s, who were accused of stealing atomic secrets, selling them to the Soviet Union, being communist spies inside the U.S. government. Nevertheless, groups like the ACL and others were like, listen, it doesn't matter because these people they have the rights of citizens. They have the same rights under the Constitution that you and I do. And so due process requires a competent defense. Think, for example, about Timothy McVeigh. He had a lawyer. Think about the Sheikh, the blind Sheikh, who did the original Twin Towers bombing. Think about the terrorists at Guantanamo Bay. Many of them have top-ranked law firms in the United States who are representing them. And this may be one of the reasons why some of these guys, Khalid Sheikh Mohammed and others, have not been executed. They've been shielded, various procedural defenses, multiple appeals have been launched on their behalf. And all of this is now missing from, let's say, the Trump defendants. It's as if all these same people who are really happy to defend the communist spies and the people at Gitmo and the accused serial killers now say no, almost as if these Trump lawyers are even worse than that. So it's like, no, you've now reached our limit. We can't defend you. So this is a terrible thing that's happening in our society. It's being driven by the left. I think if Republicans don't strike back here, it's going to get worse. Lawfare is going to become almost a common ideological weapon used not just against Trump, not just against the Trump campaign people in Georgia, but also against you and also against me. Guys, Mike Lindell has a passion to help you get the best sleep of your life. He didn't stop at the pillow. He also created the Giza Dream bed sheets. These sheets look and feel great, which means an even better night's sleep, which is crucial for our overall health. Mike found the world's best cotton called Giza. It's ultra soft and breathable, but also extremely durable. Mike's latest deal is the sale of the year. For a limited time, you get 50% off the Giza Dream Sheets, marking prices down as low as $29.98, depending on the size. Go to mypillow.com and enter promo code Dinesh. There you will find not only this amazing offer, but deep discounts on all of the MyPillow products, the robes, the mattress topper, the slippers, the MyPillow kitchen towel sets, and so on. Go to mypillow.com, use promo code Dinesh, or call the number 800-876-0227. The number again, 800-876-0227, or just go to mypillow.com. Make sure to use the promo code DINESH, Dinesh.